I'm Jennifer Sinesti. You're watching News 24 Live. Well, I'm joined in studio by Marco from the Skate Collective. He's going to tell us today how he's working to change the perception of skateboarding in South Africa. Hello.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for having me.
Good. No, thank you for coming in because I actually have always been fascinated by skateboarding from a young child. I mean, when I was 14 years old, I tried to skateboard and I tried to be really cool and I learned how to ollie.
Wow, that's impressive.
Is it impressive?
That's very impressive.
And that's as far as I went in skateboarding. But I snowboard, so I get the whole extreme sport, and I surf, so I get the whole extreme sports things. So tell me, you were telling me actually before the show that skateboarding isn't perceived as a sport, which is weird for me because I've always perceived it as a sport.
Well, it's more culture, but at the basis of it, there's an element of sport and competition. But currently, it's not recognized as a sport in South Africa, and most of the places around the world. So what we're kind of doing is actually working on getting it recognized as a sport, not as a subculture or a fringe sport, but as a culture, as a community, and as a recognized official sport kind of thing. So we're in the process of doing all these things and basically unblocking those blockages. Yeah.
Now, how did you get into skateboarding?
Probably the same reason how you found it.
Really?
There was a board. It was times of Tony Hawk and the Bones Brigade, all those guys, and it kind of represented a part of freedom, kind of thing. So as a kid, like being on a board or being on a surfboard, it's a sense of freedom that you don't get in any other traditional kind of sports activities, kind of thing. So, and that's why I'm still here skating. I'm turning 30, and I'm still skating. So yeah.
It's interesting you say that because I often find when I speak to surfers, snowboarders, anyone who does a board sport, they say it's a feeling you can't replicate. And I think people who don't understand what it feels like to be on a board, they don't get that. You know, they think it's just.
I don't even think it's a thing of adrenaline, or I think it's like I'm saying, it's a sense of freedom. So the 6-year-old kid that skates on the flat road and does an ollie. He gets the same kind of energy and kick that Tony Hawk would get doing a 900, anything like that. Like, so it represents or it gives that same kind of freedom to anyone, just for being on that board kind of thing and feeling the flow and kind of making your own lines is an important thing. So yeah, it's expression, I suppose. Yeah.
Now you've said that you're working to help relieve blockages. What do you mean by that?
Yes. So one of the biggest things is perception. I think that's the core of everything. And for a long time, people had a negative perception on skateboarders. So this informed policy, and it informed plans, and it kind of excluded skateboarders from the development of South Africa and development of our cities, kind of thing. So we weren't included in transport plans or development plans or sporting programs or social programs as well, kind of thing. So what we're trying to do is trying to change that perception. So we set up events like Promenade Mondays, which is the only legal space to skate in Cape Town, is Sea Point Promenade. Right?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Is that the only legal?
Apart from the skate parks,
right?
Of course, it's the only legal open space that you could actually skateboard.
So if I went outside here on Adderley Street and
you'd be subject to like a 200 fine.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that.
And in the past, you would be a fine, and cops would basically take your board or abuse their power because a lot of kids didn't know this bylaw and didn't know their rights about the bylaw. So they would abuse the power. So one of the things is basically changing that perception, but then that perception needs to inform new policy. So if politicians are keen to support skateboarders, and if people are kind of changing their perceptions, then policy should reflect that, and then plans should also reflect that. And this is what we kind of trying to do, trying to make skateboarders integrated into the city.
Now tell me about that perception. Why is there a negative perception when it comes to skateboarding?
I think it's it's a difficult question, but I think it's also about skateboarders engage in public space, and it's shared public space. So the activity is kind of synonymous with youth, and youth are about destroying the way things are perceived. So if a bench is not a bench to sit on, it's a bench to grind.
Right.
So, and I think when you challenge that kind of space, it antagonizes the kind of relationship people have with skateboarders. So a lot of people that have the power are older people and don't quite understand that kind of freedoms, and don't understand how the skateboarder uses that space.
And
so
it very much is a modern day type thing, you know?
Exactly. exactly. But perceptions are changing very much. So yeah.